Today I'd like to devote these remarks, rather more fully than in previous commentaries, to the choice of the next Secretary General of the United Nations, because everything has changed. It's supposedly transparent. Now the candidates are parading themselves in front of the member states in a huge committee room at the United Nations itself. And it's quite a process because it changes everything. Previously, the Secretary General was always chosen behind closed doors in a conspiratorial atmosphere by the 5 permanent members of the Security Council: China, Russia, the United States, the United Kingdom, and France. And it was entirely in secret. I have in my mind those witches dancing around the cauldron. What was it? Double, double, toil and trouble, fires burn and cauldrons bubble, and out pops the Secretary General of the United Nations, except this time out pops one of the candidates who appears in front of the member states. Now, they were never asked questions in any choice before. And of course, being the United Nations, the format is preposterous. They come up, they make an opening statement, and then cumulatively, the member states, the countries, ask them questions, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 questions, and they have to answer all of them almost simultaneously in 10 minutes afterwards. It doesn't work, but I guess you get a flimsy sense of who they are. Now, we had a spy in the committee room, and we rely on the opinion of the spy definitively. So I'm going to be able to give you a better flavor, but probably not till next week. Right now, I want to talk about the men who are running for the post of Secretary General. There were 9 candidates overall. 5 of them, of course, the majority men. I can't remember all their names and countries in my mind, so I'm going to read them off this piece of paper. There was Igor Lukšić, who came from Montenegro and was or is the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Then there's Antonio Guterres, who was Prime Minister of Portugal and then head of the United Nations High Commission on Refugees. And then Danilo Turk. I know Danilo. He's a good fellow. And he was the former president of Slovenia. And then Vuk Jeremic, who was, I note, a Minister of Foreign Affairs in Serbia. And finally, Dr. Srijan Karim, who was former Minister of Foreign Affairs in Macedonia. You'll notice they're all from Europe, mostly Eastern Europe. That speaks to the absurd geographic rotational requirements of the UN. I'll get to that next week as well. But what I want to do is talk about these 5 men because they can all be summed up in one word: disqualified. All of them disqualified. As a matter of fact, you have to be an egocentric of notable proportion to be running for Secretary General when you know this is the year for a woman Secretary General. Everybody understands that's going to be the choice. And these men have disqualified themselves merely by asking for the job. And by God, if the United Nations doesn't choose a woman Secretary General this year, then calumny will rain down on its head from every corner of the globe. Everyone will know that the UN is a fossilized relic of gender inequality. So goodbye to the men. Who needs them? Next week, I'll talk about the 4 women candidates in rather greater particular, based on the notable information from our spy. That was last week. I'm Stephen Lewis.